Hi, I'm Joe Polizzi, and this is the Content Inc. podcast. 5 minutes every Monday for content creators who desire to be content entrepreneurs. Happy Monday, Content Inc. listeners. So glad you could be with me again today. I've got a lot of updates here, so I'm going to go through them. And some of these I hope you'll find valuable. First of all, lots going on in the Joe Polizzi world. Last week we announced CEX, the Creator Economy Expo. That's our new event that's going to be May 2nd to 4th, 2022 at the Arizona Grand Resort in Phoenix. We're going to limit it to about 500 content creators who are looking to grow their businesses, become content entrepreneurs. We're going to be talking about audience attraction, revenue models. Of course, we're going to get into the move from Web 2 to Web 3. You know, they just keep bringing me back in. I really thought I was out of the event business, but here I am. Back in here, very excited about it, partnering with Brian Clark, who you may know is the founder of many different startups, including Copyblogger. We had a great first day. We launched on Friday. A lot of buzz around it and a lot of signups, so that's great. As part of that, we launched our first NFT program, which is CEX Never-Ending Tickets, which we're calling NETs. And basically, we're offering 100 VIP tickets, and you can get them as NFTs. They're different price points, and you get a lifetime ticket to CEX for as long as we do it as well. You get VIP access to all the events, and then there are about 40 of the 100 that you get special perks. For example, one of them is a main stage introduction at CEX, Creator Economy Expo. So lots of craziness going on. I want you to be there, honestly. I want to meet you in person. CEX.events is the URL. And then you can get to the NFT page from there as well. But that's mint.cex.events. We sold 13 Never-Ending tickets in the first week, and hopefully we'll keep selling some here or there. The first 25 go for 0.75 ETH. So depending on the price of Ethereum, people think that, hey, that might be a little bit too expensive. But if you think about the value of this being a lifetime ticket, and we're going to do this for a long time, I think there's a lot of value there. And of course, this is a big old experiment. I mean, I got to put the money where my mouth is, right? And I've been talking about NFTs forever, so here is our NFT launch. I'm really excited about it, probably too excited, probably too obsessed with it, but I'd love to get your feedback on it. Let me know what you think. CEX, May 2nd to 4th, 2022. I've got a couple other things on my mind that I've been thinking about. Robert Rose and I talked about this on the last episode of This Old Marketing, about this stat that came out from the CDC that says that the suicide rate in teen girls has gone up 51% since 2019, sort of a horrible combination between the pandemic and social media. We just didn't know what to say when we were talking about this on the show, because this is sort of the most horrible thing in our lifetime. There's many horrible things, right? But this is just tragic. That you've got teenagers that are on social media, of course, at the same time, are not getting the face-to-face interaction that they were before. Of course, a lot of that's COVID-19 induced, and they're really struggling. And this is a problem. I had 2 teenagers. Now I've got 1 teenager and one that just turned 20. So this has really been on my mind. I know a lot of you have kids. You've got grandkids. This is an issue. What do we do about it? What can we do about it? I honestly don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But I think something that my wife instituted when my children were smaller could really make a difference for all of us. And we did No Electronic Saturday. If you're a longtime listener of the show, you know that we did that for a long time, where every Saturday the entire family was off of electronics. Nothing. We didn't do anything related to our phones. We did not get on and play games on our computers. We were offline. And so we honestly had to force ourselves to find things to do. And we did. And we had some great family time. And I remember some of these Lego marathons that the boys and I did were just amazing. So I think sometimes we've got to create situations where we have quality time with our kids that's outside of an electronic device. And maybe something like that is helpful. I know Instagram recently instituted this thing where if a kid is on and they're swiping through, they'll pop up with something that says, hey, time to take a break, which is fine. I don't know if it's being ignored or what. So it's something, but I don't think it's good enough. I think we as parents, we need to take the next step, and we as individuals have to take the next step, because honestly, we're spending too much time on social. We're spending too much time on our devices. I get scared that we'll continue to just get sucked in by these devices as they continue to become more addictive, and they will. And there'll be more utility, and they'll be more part of our lives, and they already are an extension of ourselves. What can we do? And I think it's affecting us both mentally and physically as human beings. That kind of gets me into my next point. I listen to Dr. Sanjay Gupta, who's on CNN on a regular basis. He was on the Prof G podcast last week. It's a really good podcast to listen to because he's got a new book out about where we fell down with the COVID-19 pandemic preparedness. And there's also some really good information about dementia, Alzheimer's, dealing with children, that kind of stuff. But Prof G was really interested in Dr. Gupta's research on Alzheimer's and dementia and what causes those things. And I perked up immediately because I don't know if you know this, I've shared this a couple times on this podcast, but the Plitzis have a history of dementia and Alzheimer's. It goes into our family and many different parts of the family, and I'm honestly scared. I'm nervous. When I forget something, I take it harder than most things because I see what's happened to members of my family, and it scares me. So I'm like, well, what can I do right now? I'm not quite 50 yet, but I'm getting there. What can I do now to not lose any more of this brain activity, to maybe help generate more neuroactivity? What can we really do? So there's two things that Dr. Gupta talked about. One was daily moderate activity. So that means get out on a walk, get out on a run, do something physically active. It doesn't have to be high intensity. It's funny, sometimes the high intensity stuff actually isn't good for the brain. I didn't know that. It's just interesting. So it's worth listening to the podcast for that. But talks about, of course, keeping your mind active through reading, through crosswords. And I've actually seen that in my own life. Of course, I'm not a medical expert by any means. Please do not take this for whatever you think it might be helpful or not helpful. But I see some people that spend a lot of time on social media, a lot of time on their phones, that also have issues with their memory. So it kind of goes back to what I was talking about before. I think screen time is a major problem. I think we need to start taking a more proactive stance in our own lives. And we're seeing it everywhere, right? We're seeing it. We're subscribed to all these subscription programs, whether we go down TikTok rabbit hole or Twitch or whatever it is. We're spending way too much time here. And how do you measure that? How do you figure that out? And I think if you're on an Apple device, I don't know what a Samsung or an Android device does, but I'm on an Apple device, and it measures your screen time and screen activity every day of every week. And I think that you should look at something, let's say 2 hours. If your screen activity is more than 2 hours, I think that might be a problem. I know people that are on their phones 5, 6, 7 hours a day. And that's really concerning. And I think that leads into things like dementia, like Alzheimer's. I think the more active we can be around other people, the more active that we can be outside of our phones and that very small experience, the better. And I think I need to be an example for my kids when it comes to this as well. And by the way, both my kids are very much into online and computer activity. My oldest is actually a major in cybersecurity. So I'm not saying stay away from it. I'm saying there's moderation here. I'm saying there's a life outside. I'm saying physically and mentally we need to take control of those things right now. So those are the things that were on my mind. Kind of a Content Inc. podcast that maybe you weren't expecting. So some of the things that I would look at, it's an interesting CDC study on the suicide rate of teenage girls. You can look that up. I'll put it in the show notes. And then the Dr. Sanjay Gupta interview on the Prof G podcast, worth listening to. It's about 40 minutes long. Very, very interesting person, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, kind of a Doogie Howser story. He got accepted to medical school at the age of 16, so really interesting there. Again, lots going on. I hope you have a great week. I hope this was somewhat helpful, and I'll talk to you next week.